Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and the glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodesh. Double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders, a great millstone that brew well, and peace and blessings be multiplied on all you brethren, teaching his word in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the elect out there, the 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there, shalom. I'm the brother Dama Gibar, with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahweh Shai. All right, this is going to be a quick lesson. I woke up to this article here from Zero Head. Says at least 112 United States Air Force C-17 aircraft headed to the Middle East. Desert storm levels, you see? Because we know, Trump has been talking about basically attacking Iran. And right now they're so-called in the middle of, negotiations and trying to come to the table and work out some type of agreement. But as I've been stating in videos, we know prophetically there's not going to be any agreements, okay? There's not going to be any talks to where this situation is not going to be de-escalated, because we know prophetically, Iran plays a major role in prophecy, as well as, the West, America, and those so-called tiny tops. And, I believe that these negotiations that they're having is just, America stalling until, they pretty much get all of their personnel in place, so that they can basically attack. And I think Iran is very very aware of it as well. And, all these talks is just more of just the theater of war. But ultimately, we know how this situation is going to play out, man. We know it's going to lead to Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, the least of the flock drawing them out. And eventually this it's going to get hot and heavy. It's going to turn into a full-blown regional war, because the prophecy says so, And then I was reading another article yesterday, I think, where, even though the Israelis are talking about carrying out a strike on Iran on their own. You see, because we know both sides, the West and the Israelis, eventually, they want to attack Iran. We know that they want to take them out. We know they want to ultimately take full control over that region, which is going to lead eventually to, this Third World War breaking out and turning into a regional conflict. But I just think it's very interesting, the amount of, buildup that you see the West amassing over there in that area, which shows you that, they're getting ready to do something. And I wouldn't be surprised within the coming days, you won't see Iran being attacked, which is, prophetically beautiful. But let's read some of this article. It says, an eye-opening and massive number of C-17 Globemaster military transport and cargo planes have been observed heading to Europe and the Middle East, and what some monitors have forewarned looks like the buildup to a major war in Iran, you see? And, this is something that we've been keeping our eye on and been prophesying about for a while, because we're just in these times, For this is Matthew chapter 24 and 6 in the NLT, and you will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. Nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world, but all this is only the first of the birth pains, with more to come. See? So this is just part of the birth pains, that we see taking place before what? The ultimate return of our Savior, Yahweh Shai Mashiach. You see? So these are all beautiful signs going into that direction, And we know eventually it's going to get hot and heavy there. And it's going to turn into a huge situation, It says, one regional watcher and pundit commented in response, 112 C-17s are in or on their way to the Middle East, guys. That's a lot. Like Desert Storm. Salakia. It says, like Desert Storm, a lot. Stay tuned. See? It says this, as on Friday, the prominent open source account, Armchair Admiral, and others use public flight tracking data to tally that the huge armada of U.S. Air Force C-17s are counting are en route, a trend since mid-January. Says a total of 112 U.S. Air Force C-17s have now either arrived or or en route to the Middle East with a further 17 to 18 in progress flights. A number of Royal Air Force logistic flights, RAF Marham to RAF Akrotiri in Cyprus, blah, 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 blah. Yep, it says C-17s are massive and can deliver huge amounts of equipment or large numbers of troops in a single go. The U.S. military lists some of the following key capabilities: payload capacity of over 170,000 pounds, ability to operate on short, austere runways as small as 3,500 feet, intercontinental range with in-flight refueling extending reach even further, rapid load unload designed to keep missions moving under pressure. Iran and the U.S. just concluded an initial round of indirect talks mediated by Oman, but despite some hopeful statements issued by either side, it is very clear Iran is not willing to negotiate its ballistic missile program, a sticking point being demanded by Washington. And Washington knows that Iran is not going to give up on its ballistic missile programs. That would be absolute suicide, especially them knowing that the pressure that they're under, and these two different nations are willing, are looking to destroy them. It would make no sense for them to give up their ballistic missile program. And like I said, the West knows it. And like I said, and these negotiations are not going to not going to go anywhere because the shit that America wants them to do just doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. It's completely asinine for them to give up their defense and what the West is asking them to do. It will pretty much leave them pretty much vulnerable and basically a sitting duck. And Iran knows that. You see, but this is how America operates. It's basically, like I said, these negotiations are going to go nowhere because America basically is giving them putting options on the table that they know that Iran is not going to do, and they know that. They're basically giving them terms that they know they're going to refuse because ultimately they want to go to war with Iran. All right. Basically, the small hats which own and run America needs Iran to be dealt with because they pose a very serious threat to those tiny tops, man. And those tiny tops cannot destroy Iran by themselves. And that's why I said earlier, Israel might just strike, before America even fully gets geared up because they know eventually the West is going to have to come to their defense and will come to their aid. And that's the beautiful part because it's going to lead to what? Russia getting involved, China getting involved, and these other regional nations getting involved, which is going to eventually lead to this third world war, man. You see, this is all playing out and dancing to the tune of prophecy. It says a sticking point being demanded by Washington. A second round is expected in the coming days unless military action ensues first. And that's what I think America is doing. They're having these negotiations, but in the back of their mind, they're like, look, we're just going to keep talking and talking until we get all of our C-17s and all this other massive amounts of arsenal in place, and then we'll just attack them like they did last time, man. You see? Because ultimately we know what the West and what those Israelis want in Iran is for them for Iran to be destroyed, man. You see? It says Iran's foreign minister has newly questioned whether Washington is taking these talks seriously, and they're not because they already know what the end goal is going to be. It says, or if they are merely a pretext for more time to allow for a U.S. force buildup in the region, and that's exactly what it is. You see, this is Psalms 55 and 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. You see. So all those negotiations, all those talks, they know they're not going to go anywhere. They know they're putting shit on the table that Iran is not going to accept or take seriously. So basically, as America is talking and throwing out these weak ass stupid terms, ultimately war is in their heart, man. And I'm sure Iran knows that. This is why they're gearing up. This is why they're doing all these different military drills. This is why they're ultimately getting all these missiles and weapons from China and from Russia, because we're just almost at that time to where all the talking is going to be done. And it's going to eventually lead to this third world war popping off. Eventually, It says, his words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You see? And this is what you see the West doing. This is what they've always done. All right? And they're showing you all the different armament and shit like that. It says, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi asserted Tehran is not intimidated, but that this raises doubts about the other party's seriousness and readiness to engage in genuine negotiations, because America's negotiations are not genuine, man. Like I said, they're really just buying time. And if Iran was smart, man, they better be prepared, man. Because hey, they're probably, these motherfuckers are probably going to attack them from both sides. It says, he added, we are closely monitoring the situation, assessing all the signals, and will decide whether to continue the negotiations. Prior to this weekend's comments, the Iranian top diplomat stated, if the United States launches an attack against us, we do not have the capability to attack its territory, so we would target American bases in the region. This would draw the entire region into a war. We do not attack neighboring countries. We target American bases, you see? And that's what's going to ultimately, eventually happen, you know? Look at this. Rubio says we must preemptively prevent Iran from attacking U.S. forces in the region. Well, you're pretty much leaving them no option. And, in no way, and no matter how it works out, America is going to always play they're always going to try to make it seem as if Iran is the aggressor, that, they're doing this because they're such a threat and, they need to be stopped. They're the issue. They're the problem. We're just going there just to try to play the hero, which is all bullshit at the end of the day, man. But the point is being that, hey, we can see this situation heating up, and we can see this mass, armament of, these different C-7 aircrafts, and all of this talk of Trump talking about attacking Iran, hey, could be coming in the next several days. So, hey, we'll be keeping our eye on this. And ultimately, it's going to do what it was supposed to do, because ultimately the Most High is going to make it happen. All right? It's all in his control. This is Proverbs 21:1. It says, the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. And as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. You see? So the Lord's going to pretty much put the spirit on these kings of the earth, whether it's Trump, the Ayatollah, Benjamin Netanyahu. He's going to put it in their spirit eventually to fulfill his will, man. So like I said, all these talks and negotiations is all pretty much just the theater of war, but we know eventually prophetically how this shit is all going to play out and how it's all going to go, man. So we'll just keep our eye on this and see what's going to happen within the next coming days. But hey, it's getting hot over there in the Middle East, man. So we know eventually how it's going to play out at the end of the day, man. So, hey, just keep your eye on this. Hey, we're going to see what they're going to do with all this buildup, man. So, with that, I'm going to close it there. Lord willing, this is edifying. All praise, honor, glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Lord willing, you are edified. To the next one, shalom.